So we're going to cover exactly what enzymes are and how they work in this video very, very quickly. And it's going to make it super, super simple and easy for you guys to understand. So first of all, we can say that enzymes are highly, highly specific. And also that they are specialized proteins. So as you can see here as well, that enzymes have a highly specific structure, or as it's written here, a high level of specificity. And this is substrate specificity and also functional specificity. And we will see this a little bit later. It's quite a little small, tricky concept, but you'll be able to understand it. So we can say that all are proteins, so all enzymes are proteins except for ribozymes. Now, what are ribozymes? So ribozymes are very similar, however, they are made of nucleotides rather than proteins. So you can see here, we're saying it's composed of nucleotides rather than proteins. And that is the key difference there, but it's the only exception is ribozymes. So moving on now, we can go on to specificity. So as I mentioned at the beginning there, we have substrate and functional specificity. Okay, so let's start with substrate specificity. And this is going to be where an enzyme has the ability to differentiate or distinguish between isomers. So essentially, a molecule can have the exact same molecular formula, such as glucose or fructose, but because they're isomers, the enzyme is still able to distinguish between both. And then also functional specificity is where one substrate can be broken down by multiple enzymes, and each different enzyme can produce a different product from each substrate. That is also a very key one. And the key point there where I'm highlighting is that multiple enzymes can produce different products. So let's quickly move on now to the active site. You would definitely have heard of this before. We're going to make it pretty simple. So we can say the active site is a small region located on an enzyme, and it is involved in the binding of the substrate onto the active site and also participates in the catalysis. So that is the reaction that's going to take place in the active site. And here's a simple equation, which is often how it's written, which is enzyme plus the substrate makes ES, which is enzyme substrate complex. Or this can also be called the transition state complex. So do bear that in mind, especially for exams. And of course, the polar amino acids is what helps form this enzyme substrate complex, because it essentially makes a bond between the substrate and the active site, making that strong connection that keeps them binded together. So finally, we can actually move on to allosteric site now. This one's a little bit more tricky, but I'll make it really, really easy. So this is a specific location on the enzyme, this is key, it is not the active site, but it is a specific location on the enzyme. And this is where we can have binding of regulatory molecules, and these can be effectors. So I hope that has made it really, really simple. Let me know if you've got anything else you'd like me to make a video on.